doing? It's your lockdown lover. It's Quizmaster Corona here for yet another great quiz. Are we surviving? Gosh, I hope you are. Look, it's very tough to be positive in these times. I know I struggle to go with it. My roommate is a bit of an a-hole. She's a dog, but still a bit of an a-hole. So hopefully you're surviving and you're finding ways to adapt to this. We got a long road ahead of us. So you know what? Let's just find new ways together, and hopefully you're playing some of my quizzes. So I decided, since it's almost April 1st, April Fool's Day, comedy, right? What about famous comedians? Do you know famous comedians? So what I'm going to do is, now some of you know I'm a comedian. I don't really perform as much as I used to because I sort of got tired of living off of $10,000 a year and being, one of many. So I decided to focus more on TV and sports, which I've been doing, which has been going okay, except for this economic environment we're in right now, but I still love stand-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some of the most influential comics that I liked, all right, starting out. So I grew up on a farm in Canada, didn't have much influence to comedy back then, growing up in those days, but still loved it and found different ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 20 comedians to take a look at here. Again, these are comedians that influenced me. I'm not necessarily saying they're the best. Comedy is subjective. Some people might go, I like this one. Other people go, that person sucks. It's a great thing about comedy. That's why there's so many comics out there. And all the comics that are out there, you know what? I hope it all gets back. You know what? It's going to happen. It takes some time. But it's a punch in the pocketbook for everyone. And I know. And stay strong, everyone. Stay strong. Although I'm not sure if the live streaming shows, if they work, says the guy doing this. Anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 20 of my influential comics that affected me. Hopefully you can name them. Test some of your friends. And happy April Fools. I wish there's nothing that can be worse than this April Fools than what we're going through. Here we go. Ready? Question number one. Question number one. Oh, this guy, very funny. Before his time, very funny. Lots of energy. I have some great stories about working with him, actually. I worked with him in New York. He used to call me maple syrup for some reason. Because I'm Canadian, but he called me maple syrup. And then he called me Canadian bacon for a while. Question number two. I've only worked with this guy once. Loved working with him. Great stories. Lots of energy. Oh, man. Very funny person. If you've ever seen him against a crowd in Philadelphia that is not having him, one of the master classes of comedy. Check it out once you get his name from me. Question number three. This funny lady amazed me. What I loved is that she took on the industry. When she took on the big boys, back in a time when they weren't going to give women a shot, and she was like, screw this, I'm getting my own way. Always a big fan of hers, and very bombastic, and just so much energy. Question number four, you might recognize this guy, but not recognize. He is actually a really great comedian. He's got a button-down mind, actually. But what I would say is you want to take a look at some of his early stand-up. He's done a lot of sitcoms, and the sitcoms all revolve around him and his name. And I actually took my parents to see him, and they weren't going to be like, I don't know. And he was great. He was really good, actually. Question number four, I'm coming. This guy was a very filthy comedian before he got a big TV show, which is very iconic. But everyone knew him as a groundbreaker. And what I really appreciate about this guy, he spoke his mind. He didn't take any crap from anyone. And it's just damn hilarious. Question number six, this guy I consider a friend of mine. Worked with him quite a bit, stayed with him, he stayed with me, we partied quite a bit, responsibly. And he's passed away way before his time, very funny. One of those guys that he would actually bomb on stage. I would watch him bomb because people just didn't get it. And then you'd see other people who got it, and it was just insane. Question number seven, this guy's very influential to a lot of people. Seven words, you can't. This guy is just a groundbreaking comic. A lot of people got their start as a result of him. A lot of people stole his style to get themselves going, because that's what a lot of comics do. But you can never, going back and listening to some of his old cassettes, if you can, listen to his old cassettes. Great stuff, great comedy. Question number eight. This is my dad's favorite comic, actually. One of the reasons I really like getting into comedy. My dad, anytime this guy was on Carson, my dad would just, shut up. And my dad would be telling the stories for days afterwards what this guy said. That was a great thing about comedy, is they would see someone on a late night show and then tell the stories. You wouldn't go, here's a clip to say. They would actually tell the joke badly. But that's how jokes got popular. And that's how comics in really bad towns got popular, by taking other people's material. Don't take people's material. This guy, man, when I saw him, powerhouse. Oh, how can you say about this guy? Absolutely insane force of comedy right here. Absolutely amazing comic. No one like him. Absolutely no one like him, and still continues to rock out. Number 10, this funny lady. I saw her early on. Some of her early sets would have been in the 80s. Very edgy. And you can see why she got her own show to begin with. She just captivated the stage. She didn't put up with anyone, in an age where male comics were dominating. She had her own voice, her own passion, and still continues to, and it might get her in trouble. I'm still a fan of hers. I think there's mental health stuff that goes on with a lot of people, but I still love her. Question number 11. This guy, when I first saw him, I was like, what the hell is this guy? What is he doing? And I didn't get it. I didn't really get it. I gotta admit, I didn't get it at first. But the more I watched him and the more you see, you're like, oh, I get it. I get it now. I can see what you're doing here. I can see what you're doing. Question number 12. Hey, everyone. This guy is Marmite to a lot of people. A lot of people do not like him. Some people really love him. I grew up in an age, so in the early 90s when he was, had his own TV show. I loved his talk show that he used to do. I thought it was great. A lot of formats ripped his show off. And I really liked him. Now he's derided by people because he's taken a political agenda. Oh gosh, no, a man in his 60s with a political bent. Question number 13. This guy, I listened actually to some of his cassettes and CDs early on. If you listen to some of his stuff, and police would wait to arrest this guy. If you're a comic or if you love comedy, you have to thank this person right here, this guy. Because if it weren't for him, a lot of people would not be doing comedy. He was the guy that would get arrested. Also like to do heroin too, but it was the time, right? It was the 60s. It was all funky stuff back then. Question number 14. Now this woman, not particularly a comic per se. She never did like stand-up per se, but she was on a big TV show in the 60s, a sketch show. And I remember seeing her for the first time just thinking, wow, this personality, this bulging eyes. She was pretty, but she was just so funny, and she broke everyone. Like, you could see her. No one could keep a straight face. Even with some of the earlier guys, one of the earlier comics, I almost said his name, she was just a tour de force and continued to be so throughout the 80s and lots of comedy movies, but not a comedian per se, but I just found her hilarious, and I always waited for her to come on that show, even though it was reruns. Question number 15. Oh, man, this guy. There was a couple, my brother and I would have a couple of CD or cassettes that we would listen to in a Radio Shack cassette player in the closet. And this guy, man, we burned out one of the tapes. Like, we borrowed the tape from his friends and then, like, burnt it out. And you're trying to fix it with a pencil. Oh, man, so good. Such a good one. Question 16. This guy sort of got into, because I was a little too young for him to see stand-up. But I obviously a lot of his movies I got into, and then I started listening to some of his stand-up. Filthy, just filthy, but funny filthy. So he was one of my influences as well, and I got to meet him once, and I was just like, couldn't even know what to say, and he sort of made fun of me for that. Question number 17. I met with this guy a few times. He's from Canada. I guess he's my only Canadian on the list. Sorry, fellow hosers, eh? This is just my influencers one. You guys, I was too young. I didn't see some of you. But I saw this guy, and I remember thinking, and it was the big news that this Canadian guy had made it big. And one of the reasons I started out at Yuck Yucks Comedy Clubs was because of this guy. I was like, well, this is where you got to start. It's where I got to go. Turns out only comedy club anyway, but still a great start. And always look back in those years with fondness. This guy, speaking of which, I opened for this guy for a series of cross-country tours. This guy, man, I could tell stories about this guy. I do a podcast on this guy, touring with this guy. Absolutely amazing guy, and just prolific joke writing, puns, everything. Just could do it all. Question number 19, again. Oh, man, this guy, when I was a kid, he was I wanted to be like him, except for the leather pants, and obviously, the different skin tone. But I just thought he was the funniest thing, and everything he touched was comedy gold. You're just like, how can he mess? He was like the Bo Jackson of just comedy and movies and everything. And finally, question number 20. My favorite talk show host ever was Johnny Carson. But this guy, man, I have seen some of his early stand-up. My brother and I used to like turn the rabbit ears on top, like the big TV antenna, like 40 feet up, and we would have to go at night to switch to get Buffalo so we could watch this guy. Very funny guy. Tell me who he is. All right, those are 20 comics. In honor of April Fool's Day and all the comics out there that are broke and that are looking for work, it's going to get easier. There was lots of times in history where comedy didn't work. I mean, obviously this is the most trying one. But for everyone else who likes to laugh, support comedy, support comics that are out there. If they got a show going, please try to help them out. Comedy is what keeps us going, folks. In these times, you're going to need comics more than ever. Stay safe, everyone. Happy April Fool's Day. And here come the answers. Hey everybody, it's your pal Wade McElwain here. So it's time to do the comedy answers. Do you like comedy? You fans of comedy? Let's see how you get out of this one. Some of the comics that are on here. Some of them I know, some of them I wish I could have worked with, and some of them I'm just big fans of. 20 questions in this one. If you like me and want more quizzes, follow me. Put all your stuff in there. Yeah, I do quizzes. I'm looking for stuff to do in this off time. And if you're a television producer who needs a quiz writer, or someone who's created a few quiz shows that are going to be the next big thing, you should contact me. Question number one of the comedy one. This guy called me lots of different names. I worked with him in New York City. Robin Williams. Robin Williams, one of the nicest guys I work with, even though he would go on, can I do 5 minutes? And then he'd do 20 minutes, and then I'd lose my spot. And in New York, you'd have to wait. You're like, damn it! And he took this from me twice, and I yelled at him for it. And then he was just really nice, and he took care of me after that. Question number two. I met this guy in England before. Very funny, Bill Burr. Bill Burr. Support Bill Burr. Question number three, very funny lady. Took over the Johnny Carson show. A lot of political stuff going on there, but she always stood her ground. Fierce. Joan Rivers. Question four, touch my face. Question four, touch my face. This guy was always touching his face too. Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart. If you ever listen to some of his earlier comedy, very, very funny stuff. Question number five. I was just messing up. Sanford and Son, from Sanford and Son, but his name is Red Fox. Red Fox. Listen to some of his early stuff. Question six. This guy, taken from us way too young. That's not his name. His name is Mitch Hedberg. But hilarious comic. Go back and see some of his old stuff on YouTube. George Carlin, number seven. Number seven is George Carlin. Some of you may have just recognized him from the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure movies, and that's a start. Question number eight, my dad's favorite comic, Jonathan Winters. This guy's very hilarious. You ever watch him on some of the old talk shows? He just breaks everyone up. Just this guy just loves telling stories. Very funny. Him and some of the Carson stories are some of the best ones. Question number nine. This guy, there's so many iconic jokes in it. It's Chris Rock. Chris Rock. Question 10. Some people like her, some people don't. I love her. Roseanne Barr. Question number 11. This guy was kind of crazy. Did lots of wild and crazy things. Steve Martin. Question number 12. Again, someone some people don't like because of his political leanings, but I really like him. I think he broke a lot of ground back in the 90s. Dennis Miller. Question number 13. Another guy who broke a lot of ground, broke a lot of needles off in his arm. He was a heroin addict, but Lenny Bruce. Lenny Bruce. Again, some more tragic stories about guys like him. Question number 14. She's still going at it, but not so much doing comedy, not making movies anymore, but she gave us some great comedy. Goldie Hawn. She was on a show called Laugh-In. Very funny if you want to see some of her clips of her breaking up people. Question number 15. This guy. Oh, what a story. What a story about his life. Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor. Question 16. This guy is known for so many iconic lines. People will know him from the movie Caddyshack. Watch it again if you haven't seen it. Rodney Dangerfield. Question number 17. He's from Canada. Very slow talking. Very funny though. Norm Macdonald. Everyone, Norm Macdonald. Another slow talking guy with lots of great jokes. Guy who I opened for, touring across 2 countries. Stephen Wright. Stephen Wright. Question number 19. Tour de force of comedy, and glad to see he's back at it again. Dolomite is my name. Eddie Murphy. And lastly, yes, he was a stand-up comic before he became a talk show host. He was a weatherman before he did all of that. The very funny guy from Indiana, it's David Letterman. How'd you do in that quiz? 20 questions. Did we get all 20 questions right? 20 out of 20? Did you do my April Fool's Day comedy quiz well? I hope you did, folks. Enjoy. I hope you're staying safe. And I hope, just pace yourselves, all right? This is a long haul. Don't go crazy. Don't blow all your money. Don't blow all your brains on anything yet. Pace yourself, folks. We're in this for the long haul. Stay safe, stay happy, stay quizzing, and I'll be back again with another quiz soon.